Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So we have a new poll that came out today out of NPR Marist, one of the most liberal pollsters in the country. Back in 2020, they vastly overestimated Joe Biden. But what are they showing right now? Kamala Harris, all this talk about momentum, this honeymoon period. She just had the DNC. She's had a month and a half of glowing media coverage that is not deserved, but she's going to get it anyways. What are they showing? The poll is showing that Harris is only up in the popular vote by 1. It is a dead heat, and this is the same result they had back in June. They had Biden by 1. And what does this tell you? It tells you that the trajectory of the race remains relatively unchanged the way it was before Donald Trump's debate with Biden. They thought they could get this sustained hype for Harris. Where is it? It's kind of faded away. Their last poll had Harris up by 3. And you could say, well, it still shows her in the lead. She's still leading the average. Technically, that's the case. But when you talk about the popular vote, Kamala Harris is going to need to win that popular vote by, 2.5% to really have a real clear shot at winning the Electoral College. That's what it comes down to. If she's only up by 1, Donald Trump is most likely walking away with the Electoral College. He probably sweeps every single swing state, even Michigan at that point. He's going to win. That's why this is so crucial for Kamala Harris. If she, really wants to win this election, she needs to be polling where Biden was polling in 2020, at least at the end of it. She probably needs to be polling, D+6 around that mark, just because you may have a polling error anyways at the end of the day that will underestimate Trump, as you saw in 2016 and 2020. Right now being, September, early September, Democrats usually are polling very well at this point of the year. She should probably be up by around 6 at the end of the day just to, be comfortable. But she's not comfortable and she's not winning, and her campaign is not acting like a winning campaign. We're going to get to some of that later. But first, I have to tell you guys about redeaglepolitics.com, my exclusive membership website. You guys can sign up for just $5 a month. That is 16 cents a day. You get access to all of my exclusive videos that you will not find on the channel. There's one of them every week, as well as the articles in the newsletter. There's one of those at least every week. But also the merch store is back. The 2024 election drop is back. We have t-shirts, we have tank tops, we have hoodies, we have coffee mugs, we've got the America First design, the Red Eagle Politics design, we have the Trump Bullet design, we have the Make America Gain Again design if you're in the gym. We have a lot of merchandise right now. It's on sale. We're doing buy one, get one 20% off. All of this and more at shop.redeaglepolitics.com. The link is in the description and pinned comment down below. So this Marist poll, not looking good for Kamala Harris. This is one of the most liberal pollsters in the entire country. It's NPR. And even then, they can't really twist the numbers to give Harris some sort of a boost. And some people might be saying, well, the debate's tonight, and maybe they want to manufacture like a Harris debate bump, and that's entirely possible. But at this stage in the game, I think it's evident that the race is tightening. And you look at the other polls that we've seen released this month. Pew Research, highly respected. They don't do a lot of national polls, but they have a decent track record, especially with the crosstabs, and they show a tied popular vote. Harvard-Harris, tied popular vote. Trump is leading in the New York Times, another liberal-leaning pollster that the election mafia says is the #1 pollster in the country. Rasmussen, I think they released a poll today where Trump's up by 3, so you can expand that margin. Emerson, Harris by 2, but their last poll was Harris by 4. Quinnipiac is showing Harris +1, another very, very liberal pollster in the 2020 election, although they were more accurate in 2022. They still have this liberal bias, especially at the state level, especially in the Rust Belt. But right now, their national poll is showing Harris only up by 1. That's not good enough. It's really not, especially because there's very few undecideds And Donald Trump is probably around 47, 48. Kamala Harris is probably around that range as well. It kind of showcases, yeah, it's a dogfight for turnout. We got to make sure we do what we need to do to get voters out. But, this notion that Harris is going to run away with the race and crush Donald Trump like a lot of these Democrats were hoping, they went from hoping to doing a lot of coping pretty quickly, and it's pretty funny to see. And if you look at Polymarket, the betting odds, Donald Trump has his largest lead in over a month. He's at 53%. Harris is at 45%. And betting markets kind of just showcase momentum, where people are putting their money. It's going to be intriguing to see how Polymarket shifts during the debate tonight. I don't anticipate a ridiculous amount of movement whatsoever. But if we talk about the national polls, Kamala Harris is in the lead by just 1% nationwide, according to RCP. And for a while, we weren't getting a lot of national polls. Maybe it's because pollsters kind of had cold feet. Oh, we don't want to show Harris losing ground post-convention, but they can more safely release the polls now without that same level of blowback. And you're kind of seeing it. You have a lot of Harris plus ones, and you got a few Trump plus ones, and you got a few ties. And even polls like Morning Compost, Harris plus 3, INI TIPP, Harris plus 3, those are narrower margins than what they had before, all things considered. So she's up by 1.1%. That's not exactly in a great position to be in. It shows she doesn't have the momentum. It shows that her peak was at 48% or so, and that this debate means a lot more for her than it means for Trump, because if the debate is meh for both sides, it's not really going to change the trajectory of the race. And the Kamala Harris campaign, they're doing a lot of preemptive coping on social media. They hired these two guys to say that Donald Trump is going to lie at the debate a lot. When they really come up with this tagline, usually it means that they have nothing else to really attack Donald Trump on. They're just saying, oh, well, Trump is lying, therefore our debate performance or our arguments are totally accurate, despite the fact that whatever they call lying, it's largely just this New York style exaggerating that Donald Trump does. A lot of people from Queens do it. Trump will be like, we had the best border ever, we had the best economy ever, and they're like, well, technically the unemployment rate was higher in the 1950s or whatever. That's not the point. We get it. We understand it. Trump is a salesman. He simplifies things. He sells it to a wide audience. He's a marketing genius. It's not exactly like he's trying to deceive the American people, unlike the other side, which, they are the fact checkers. They will gloss over the scrutiny from Harris or Biden, but they won't do it for Donald Trump for an obvious reason. You have these guys, these clowns sitting up here. Let's listen to what they have to say, and let's kind of go through this, and let's go out there and debunk these lies that they're about to tell. This is ridiculous. Watch this.
Here are the biggest lies Trump will likely say on stage.
Okay, he's gonna pretend like he's never even heard of Project 2025.
More than 130 people who work for him are involved in Project 2025.
Okay, so he's going to say that he has nothing to do with it, but some people who work for him, out of thousands of people that work for him in the White House, are a part of this because they have ties to the Heritage Foundation. It's like, how does that implicate Trump exactly? It really doesn't. That's just this guilt by association tactic because Democrats have nothing to run on, so they're creating these boogeymen thinking that they can tie Trump to them and go out there and defraud the American public in the process just so they can scare people into voting for their joke of a candidate and to continue the failed policies of the joke of this administration because of fear-mongering about something that would be considered unpopular. It's this boogeyman. Yeah, that's not exactly how it works. And again, you talk about who the liars are in this case. It's not Donald Trump for distancing himself from something that does not have much to do with him, other than the fact that, some people that worked for Trump, worked for this firm, and, collaborated on some ideas in this manifesto that, again, Trump will agree with some of, but there's many things in there that he doesn't agree with and will not be a part of his agenda for obvious reasons.
His running mate, J.D. Vance, wrote the foreword to the Project 2025 author's book. That same author was caught on hidden camera talking about Trump's support. Of course, he'll lie about.
Okay, so apparently Vance wrote a foreword for one of the author's books who collaborated with this thing. Therefore, Donald Trump is completely implicated in this, secret plot to, I don't know, push all these unpopular policies or whatever. That's just, again, not true. You talk about conspiracy theorists. They're the ones, drawing all these lines all over the place, trying to connect the dots while they're calling you a conspiracy theorist, despite the fact that, again, there's so much nuance to it that they're not even acknowledging. Donald Trump is not in support of this, Project 2025 in terms of the agenda. Yes, there's overlap, but that's besides the point.
About his extreme record on abortion.
Not only is he responsible for dozens of abortion bans in states, his Project 2025 agenda calls for a national ban. It's right there in black and white.
Actually, again, another lie. Donald Trump does not support a national abortion ban, but because apparently some people who worked for Trump would like to see some national ban in place that Trump doesn't agree with, that Donald Trump is implicated in that. That's not exactly how this works. Again, another lie from the people that claim they're fact-checking.
He's going to lie about how he handled the economy and created jobs.
Trump left us with an unemployment rate of 6.7% in an economy that had lost 9.4 million jobs. Meanwhile, the Biden-Harris administration cleaned up his mess, bringing those 9 million jobs back and then some.
Here's the problem with that, though. We hear about, Trump actually ruined the economy because of COVID. Every economy in the world lost jobs because of shutdowns, which, again, the Democrats were the ones pushing these shutdowns. And because we have a thing called federalism in the country, a lot of Democrat governors shut down for much longer than Republican governors did. And as a result, the jobs were technically lost. But here's the deal. If you want to say, well, Biden actually recovered or Biden created 15 million jobs, by that logic, Donald Trump created 12 million jobs in the last 8 months of his presidential term. They're not going to say that for obvious reasons, but Biden has not really created a lot of new jobs, and the new jobs that are created, by and large, are going to non-citizens. That is not helping the American people. The people that were actually born in this country, they're losing jobs at a significant rate. They're on a net negative job growth compared to where they were back in 2019 pre-pandemic. This is not happening under Donald Trump. This is happening under Biden-Harris.
More than 15 million jobs overall, all while bringing inflation down and bringing wages up.
He said he brought inflation down. Here's the problem. He brought inflation up. Inflation peaked at over 9% in mid-2022. He took office with a 1.4% inflation rate, and right now it's still, 2 to 3 times higher than that. That's overall cumulative prices. It's not like he brought it down. So he brought it up and then brought it down, but not as down as it was under Trump. That's still not a winning message overall.
And then he's going to lie and say he'll protect Social Security and Medicare.
He literally tried to cut both of these programs every year he was in office as president. He might even try to say he's responsible.
Well, here's the problem with that. He didn't. First of all, he didn't cut those programs, and he never really tried to gut those programs. You had budgets that they were working on. They tried to, cut the debt, but they never actually touched Social Security. They never touched Medicare. They're not really going to be able to do that whatsoever. But you talk about the border crisis, all these people coming in under this administration, that's going to significantly play a major role in gutting those programs when Biden and Harris, mainly Harris at this stage in the game, according to many people, and her own website, she wants to give all these people citizenship. What exactly does that entail? They're going to be on these programs. They're going to rob the benefits from the seniors. They're going to bankrupt the country. They're going to bankrupt those programs. That's a problem.
Responsible for $35 insulin.
Which is ridiculous because he is not. Vice President Harris literally cast the tie-breaking vote for the bill that did that, and President Biden literally signed it into law, bringing insulin prices down to $35 for those on Medicare. We all saw this happen.
But here's the problem with that as well. It is true that Biden did that. He did sign that into law. He codified it into law. Donald Trump signed an executive order that was attempting to do the same thing. It didn't cover all companies at the time, but then Biden got into office and completely just scratched that executive order and then did it through this bill, and then he takes credit for it. It was not his idea. it was Trump's idea. That's not going anywhere, but Trump definitely got the ball rolling on it. And then Biden said, no, for political reasons, I'm going to toss it out. And then like later on in this one bill, he signed it and it covered, more companies or whatever. But still, it's not like Trump wouldn't have signed that either.
He'll lie and blame Kamala Harris for the border.
Donald Trump is the guy who entered the chat and blew up the bipartisan border security bill. And he said out loud, blame me.
Oh, the favorite lie of all from these clowns. Yeah, the border crisis didn't start in February of this year, okay? Actually, it started back in 2021 when Biden and Harris took office. Then you had all these people pour into the country. Now, there was a bill that they dubbed the bipartisan border bill, but it was only supported by 4 Republicans, and it didn't have enough Democrat support to even pass the bill anyways. So it's not like it's Donald Trump's fault. Now, who were the Republicans that supported this bill, which basically would have, rearranged and moved some stuff around, barely signed any new border patrol onto the bill, and given an amnesty path for people? That's why the bill was opposed by Donald Trump. You had Mitt Romney, Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, and Open Borders James Lankford. Those were the quote-unquote Republicans that supported that bill. And you don't even need a bill to do it. They unraveled Trump's policies that caused the border crisis, and now they want to blame Trump for it. It's the most ridiculous gaslighting tactic I've ever seen. They were the ones that did this for political purposes, not Donald Trump, because that bill didn't even have enough Democrats to pass it through. What do you need, 60 votes? To clear the filibuster? 12 Democrats wouldn't support it. Only 4 Republicans did support it. So you do the math on that. By the way, Republicans sent a much tougher border security bill that Donald Trump wanted to be signed into law, called H.R. 2, and Chuck Schumer just sat on it because he doesn't actually care about the border. The Democrats don't care about the border, and if Republicans controlled the Senate and managed to get that bill to Biden's desk, he would have absolutely vetoed it because, I don't know, he would have called it racist or something.
Because he thought it'd help him politically. When she's president, Vice President Harris is signing it into law.
If she can't even get it into law now, and Biden can't get it into law now, how is she going to get it into law? She's not going to be able to. These guys are just lying. They're gaslighting. That's all the Democrats have.
Now he'll say the vice president wants to defund the police.
Vice President Harris cast the tie-breaking vote on the largest federal investment in fighting crime and public safety ever, and Republicans voted against it. She's a prosecutor, and she's taken on criminals and transnational gangs. Now, Donald Trump has never been good at budgeting, but his budgets repeatedly cut funding for police. And when he was president, homicide went up 30% from 2019 to 2020.
Well, here's the problem with that whole thing. First of all, crime is up compared to 2019. You had a spike during COVID. That's not exactly, Donald Trump's fault in full, as we know. And it hasn't gone down to pre-COVID levels, which is the fault of this administration. And the only reason why it's dropped from 2020, and it did go up in 2021, it's mainly because that these agencies have reported less and less. They've told them to stop reporting just so they can make their numbers look better even, and now they're trying to blame Donald Trump. It's ridiculous, but it is what it is.
And look, if I were a convicted felon, I'd want to cut police funding too.
Bottom line, Trump's a liar, and the American people deserve better.
They deserve a new way forward, and that is exactly what Vice President Harris is offering.
They deserve better than this nonsense. And the fact that they have to preemptively lie about Donald Trump supposedly lying proves that they're not that confident in this debate. So we'll see what happens tonight. I'll be live streaming after, but the polls don't look good for them, and they're acting desperate, and it shows. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below. Comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle, out.